Rod, we've been working on this project for a long time. It is the hamlet areas out there north of Fruitville and west of Verna Rd. Rod has put together a consortium of about 4,000 acres. We were ready to file this when 2050 first came up a long time ago, about 3,000 acres as a master planned hamlets. This is all hamlet area. And it has since been out there, and we've looked at a lot of different plans. And we have put together a consortium to do this comprehensive plan amendment. And basically what it is, the premise behind it is mainly to do with utilities. We intend to create a utility. We've had preliminary, a lot of meetings with the utility department, and we've put together a consortium to get the utilities out there, and it's costly to run all those utilities out there, particularly sewer. And you have to have a critical mass in order to get utilities out there. So we're going to create a coalition of folks and for the utilities. In order to do that, with some of the provisions of 2050, LT Ranch and others that have come forward, we're going to ask for an increase in density. The limitation of 1 unit per acre in the developed area does not lend itself to urban services like utilities. And we're going to ask for an increase of allowable units. Also, one kind of peculiar thing with the hamlets is we generate more TDRs than we can use under today's regulations. We're going to be asking to be able to use the TDRs that we generate on site and use them on site instead of transferring them other ways. We think that's consistent with the way 2050 is going these days, considering the board's actions. So that's the basic premise of it is that we're going to ask to be able to use the densities that we create on site to use them on site, and that will take a comprehensive plan amendment and then associated zoning text amendments. I think in my packet I kind of put some zoning text amendments there, and we'll have to be careful and go through everything to make sure we're not creating any more internal conflicts between the comp plan and the zoning code, but we'd like to work with staff in order to do that. One thing, we've been talking to a lot of people, we've been planning this for a while, and one turn we think we're going to take here is people want something innovative. With the 2050 stuff, you know, I've been doing a lot of conservation subdivisions and the hamlets that are coming forward and things, and it's kind of like we need to tweak things as we go along, because it's kind of like we don't want to just check the box as we go along. And to tell you the truth, the hamlets, the way they were originally laid out, I had this whole area laid out once before, back during the boom days. We had everybody together, and I had a master plan of the 400 units and the 1,000 separation and everything. And to tell you the truth, to look at that on paper, I always thought, someone's gonna fly over this thing 50 years from now. So what the heck were these guys doing? And it, frankly, it was a bad form. But the hamlet the regulations have been tweaked as we go along. And we know that that 2050 is being, as we bring these things forward. And you see that solar dot on there. We're going to be working with, talking about doing some possible solar fields in some of the open spaces. And we're talking about some automated retail. So looking at it in a more futuristic point of view rather than the original one is more rustic and rural. We think we can do something innovative. And I believe that's what the policymakers are looking for in this area. I also say this is one of the highest areas in Sarasota County. We've got 100-foot elevations out there. So that will be one of our justifications for let's not squander the land, use the land that lends itself to development. And other than that, we're just gonna ask you for your help to craft the language in the comp plan and the zoning text amendment to avoid internal conflicts and help us move it forward.
Okay.
We think this is a policy decision, and we've made the rounds with policymakers so far. We've been working on this for a while. Rod?
I would change one word. We're not asking for an increase in density. We're asking to be allowed to use the density that we have on site and eliminate any septic. Hamlets can use septic tanks with central water, and we think that's a real no-no these years. When the original ULI and the stakeholders way back, I mean, I've been doing this for 47 years now. I'm still having fun, but they actually, John O'Miller and the stakeholders group actually thought this is the land where villages should go because it's high, dry, basically all pasture and row crops. And they thought a lot of the other lands where there's high ecological value, greenways and stuff is where these items should be located.
Yeah, when I said utility, that was my main point, is the non-proliferation of septic tanks is a big policy issue, and we've been dealing with utilities in order to avoid that. We've been talking about it for years on looping the water out there and then avoiding the septic tanks. You have to have a critical mass in order to do that. So that's a big deal.
You have a map of a piece of property up here, but this is a comprehensive plan amendment that will be countywide essentially. I don't know how you plan to.
No, we'll do it, and we'll probably write it narrowly enough that in order to join, you have to participate in the utility agreement. That's our intent.
Utility specifically asked that it be map parcel specific.
Okay.
That's so it will have wording so that it'll be only it'll allow units up to the maximum generated by the character of the land, greenways, open space, whatever, and only for people that are part of what we call the North Hamlet Utility Group and MSBU. We reviewed this with Mike Meehan and George McFarland and Chris Cole.
And that's always one of the questions, as it was when we redid the comp plan amendment and the zoning text for conservation subdivision. They always want to know, well, are you going to open the floodgates? Well, now you list criteria in order to be able to participate and to use that comprehensive plan. You list criteria in order to limit the scope of it. And the idea is because of the urban form, to be able to get the utilities out there, then you would have to use, that would be one of the criteria in order to be able to use the updated regulations that we propose.
All right, I mean, it's primarily a planning issue, so I'll let Todd and Bill kind of take charge of that part of the conversation. But in the meantime, let's just go ahead and get started around the room. Diane, I don't know if you've got anything from the school board's perspective, but go right ahead.
Not at this point. I mean, until we know more specifics, if there's development out there at some point for the impact on the schools.
Sure.
Definitely no landscape comments. As far as zoning goes, I think that's going to be the 2 meetings offline, one with Donna.
Yep.
Directly.
Planning, with the first bill.
Well, we've already talked, the first question is the population, actually the housing analysis that has to be done to show why we need units. And then second to that, or sub to that, is why should they be put here? So what has changed? We've already talked about this, so probably look at pretty much the village corridor there. have inside the urban service boundary area, which was assigned a certain number of units of capacity. I'm sure that was changed tremendously. Clearly, the villages are not developing out at the unit count that was within those projections that were there for when 2050 was put together. I think they were somewhere in the 50,000 unit count is what was supposed to be.
I think we've got some compelling information that we can review with you as soon as possible.
So that's that, and then, the bigger fundamental question is, okay, why should those be out here? Obviously, what you're saying in terms of hamlet TDRs and excess TDRs is legitimate. You have the ability to transfer those off. And of course, that's the whole point in 2050. The eastern corridor was supposed to be low intensity, transfer that intensity off and get it to the east. So that's a pretty big part of this question. And fundamentally, in terms of the comprehensive plan policies, there's others that you're going to have to address. An obvious one is transportation. The roadway is limited. You have Fruitville that's supposed to be limited to 2 lanes, certainly out here. I don't know what we're going to end up doing different to the west, but
That's why we showed the roadways. It's, in doing this, what has happened, if you look at the statistics, I check, every year they come out with driver's license statistics. And since the last 13 years, the licenses of people over 60 have gone up like 40,000. The licenses for people under 60 have gone down. There are 20,000 fewer people in Sarasota County under 60 with driver's licenses, for a net of about 20. And what has happened, and you look at the migration in here, the people coming in versus going out, their incomes are twice. And what is happening is we're growing at less than all the surrounding counties. And what's happening is specifically with this property here is, and that's why you look at Fruitville, I'm checking, it looks like about 80% of the traffic coming in and going out on Fruitville is generated by Manatee County. That's the shortest route from the corner of Verna and State Road 70 to I-75. And the MPO really should start looking at this. But hopefully, if we get these number of units, we can support that thoroughfare plan that you've shown there, not just Fruitville. We've got a road that goes north-south to Verna, potentially hooking up to University. That's what I copied you on it. I'm meeting Tuesday at Babcock Ranch with the Society of Automotive Engineers on all of the new mobility autonomous vehicles. And I've asked the county commission to review that at their retreat tomorrow. So we're trying to do things that will help out there. So we hope you will cooperate with us.
well, it's an integral part of the plan.
Yeah.
So, and so there's other things like that. The whole utility approach, I think, kind of gets at the physical neutrality question of carrying the cost of what it's going to be. So that's part of that question of, okay, where do these units get put?
Okay.
Yeah, and I know Paul knows it, but I assume that discussion of the constrained roadways, there was reasons for that was put in 2015 also. And some of them were recognized as just being constrained, and that's why the limitation of lanes hasn't come up much lately, but that was one of the basic things of discussion we had way back when. So I assume all that will be discussed as we continue this process.
All right, let's continue to go around the room now. We might have additional comments. Morning, Vince.
We're gonna need to look at the greenway on site. We've had previous conversations on it.
Not done with that one yet.
Yeah. Okay, well, this one is a little bit the same.
Yep.
We have some AE that attaches to the greenway, and we're gonna just have to discuss where those limits need to stop. As if you look at the community map that we have on there now, there's little ditches that take it all over the place, and clearly some of those aren't gonna be considered, so we'll need to figure out the finite boundaries of it, since we're talking TDRs.
We processed, as I say, the reason we're here is I bought this property to use it as 5-acre ranchettes. And we got a complete set of plans, the history, I mean, we got it for the south 655 acres with core, swift mud, everything, you know. So we've got all of that defined, and we use that as input to, and I know they did to stormwater too. So, and then ironically, everybody approved it, planning for going ahead for the north part of the property that we sought a rezone, and they, my friends Nora Patterson and John Thaxton, denied the rezone, and the reason they gave is they said, we don't want you to do any more 5-acre ranchettes, we want you to do 20/50, and the road's no good. Well, everybody that's participating in this donated their, the north side of Fruitville easements so that the road could be improved and solve those problems. So all of that stuff we've got documentation for that.
And I did the same thing. John Cannon is one of the people here too. I filed a rezone for ranchettes also, and I was told the same thing by we were denied. When we were denied, I said, we want to work with you on 2050 form of development. And so here we are.
Good morning. At this point, everyone will probably does have any comment.
Mike Meehan, Public Utilities. Rod, yes, we've had at least 2 meetings, I know of, maybe 3 on this. And yeah, the MSBU, Municipal Service Business Unit, is what we're looking at. For those that don't know, the county would front the money with a specific interest rate. And as each unit structure came in for a construction permit, in addition to capacity fees, they would pay an additional fee to cover the utility infrastructure. And Rod, you're right. That agreement is property specific, parcel specific, and it have to be agreed to prior and in place prior to site development. Other than that, normal utility requirements.
So that's how you get paid back over time?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. The sooner they pay it, the less interest they pay on it.
Okay.
And we're looking at, the original estimate was 17.5 million. And you can't, you need some units to spread that out, or it basically makes the land worthless, and you will go with 5-acre ranchettes.
Nobody wants that.
All right, let's continue. Is there anything else from utilities?
No, utility's
Okay.
good.
I've got no comments other than when it starts coming together, you gotta get the fire flow and continue with water. That's it.
At this juncture, I don't see this affecting any reviews before they come in. Rod, you talked something a little bit about the cultural resources that you've done and that you're planning to do. This won't affect, I don't see this as affecting Chapter 66. As those developments come in, they'll be reviewed then.
With transportation planning, are you required to submit transportation impact analysis?
And I'll also add, as far as the discussion about Fruitville Rd, that
we can have further discussions as to what you're proposing as far as, the things that were discussed. But the comp plan does have Fruitville east of, a quarter mile east of Lorraine as 2-lane. That was it, that was discussed it because they wanted to keep the rural nature or characteristic of that area east. So if you're trying to promote or ask for any lane widening, that will have to go through the process and to have that change. But that was something that during the 2050 process that the community wanted to maintain that 2-lane. We do recognize that there is gonna be a lot of traffic out there, and that model show that it should be 4-lane, but at this point in time, we do have that restriction that was placed on in the 2050. But we're willing to listen to what your proposals are as far as transportation, especially with the future and where we are going with transportation, just with the industry. So that can be all discussed during the methodology.
Chris Slater, Stormwater, no comment at this time.
All right, any other DNSC reviewers have any comment or any further discussion? Do you guys have any other questions for us?
No, just, I know that it'll be a lot of work in order to make sure we don't have the internal conflicts, and I know we're gonna talk about transportation, and people, the thing it wasn't just the rural nature of it, it was actually to have a constrained road, and they knew the level of service would be different also, so we know we gotta have these discussions, but if you can help us get through it and get to the board, we'd appreciate it.
Very good, thank you for coming in, guys. All right, is